Welcome to TradeTheMBI.com. This is John. This report is for the 22nd. We had a major internet outage here in Italy, all across the country. I think it was that same situation that took place in the U.S. Someone's playing with the broader internet, but made it just back here before the start. Not a whole lot happening. I mean, the world is pretty much quiet. It is interesting, some of the latest Ukrainian attempts. There's supposed to be that Putin-Trump meeting, maybe in Hungary, and all of a sudden they ended up with terrorist attacks on their energy facilities that were theoretically Russian supported. So, those dynamics continue to play out. But, still, government shut down. Nobody's complaining. Nobody's talking about it. And life still goes on. Go figure. Uh, in a broader sense, it's probably easier for most people's lives not to have the headache of government officials clamoring down on them. But no change in our MBI readings here, but you do see that acceleration of MBI white, and it could potentially even today take over the magenta, but as long as magenta is over yellow. So the key is we're looking to see if you get from a daily, and actually we'll see it intraday earlier. You can see already the beginning compression of a spider forming on the DOC where that crossover to the upside took place. It needs to continue. If it doesn't and you cross back, well, that just gives you an indication of more of that sideways. But you're doing so at the peak. So how horrible is that? Treasury is still out of control because the Fed is nowhere to be found, and that is from a credit standpoint, the markets have been a little jumpy, and that causes a lot of back and forth. And of course, this continued attack on Russian infrastructure, their oil refineries, putting a little upside pressure on oil that had been fading down below. We're still below that 60 baseline that I was referring to, that is still beneficial for growth. Though it needs to stay that way, and we'll see how long that can continue. And of course, that does not bode well for the euro because nothing's happening in the eurozone that's even remotely effective as far as competitive to the U.S. So, from a gold standpoint, though, you can see that we eased off some of those positive extremes, and again, even though you're getting close to your DOC spread, you're still coming from a steel that's below negative 13. So as soon as it pops back above, you're going to have your stabilization. Hardly critical, but it was necessary to get some kind of easing in there. It was going parabolic for an extended period of time without any real changes that, beyond just the fact that every country is operating in massive deficits and devaluing their currency. That's a base story. We don't even need to go into that one as far as detail. From a Bitcoin standpoint, in that crypto has been just stuck in the malaise of dealing with the hangover from that whole crypto carnage that took place briefly, and it's just going to take some time to work through. And the readings are fairly clear on it. I mean, you're not looking at anything catastrophic. It's just the normal ebb and flow, so to speak. From a 50K standpoint, you can see what we ended up with was a brief MBI white spike. Started to move things a little bit lower, but that back and forth with magenta created a very choppy configuration. Now you're back with magenta over for the last several bars. So that's held up, so you didn't even get your return to the 50% yet, but you will see that on the next spike, and that will be the one that starts to pull back. The question will be whether you have a rise in the 50% Fibonacci lines at that particular point. That would be the target at that stage, but very problematic from a shakeout standpoint. Continues to deteriorate relative to where these previous highs are. We did get a move to the negative, I believe, right here from that red. Just a brief one, but that does reset it. So from that standpoint, that becomes less significant, relatively speaking, now that we've had the reset. But you can see how choppy this is. This is that volatility. It's not ending, and even though the range was more muted, you still have these much more violent swings where there's no real dedicated purpose. In the Asian market, things were relatively calm to positive, and then as the European session came across, you got more of that chaos. So I would expect that's going to continue because There's nothing definitive. There's a lot of worrying elements, but then there's also a lot of supportive ones for the beginning part of next year. So it depends on which side is focusing at what time frame, and because everyone's not on the same page, that's why we're getting this kind of breakup, and it's expected from what we could see from the way things were developing politically and economically. So that's the long and the short of it. But hopefully, no more internet outages here. Trade well, anything relevant, I'll put it on our team chat.